Hi there everybody, my name's Jana Webb. Welcome to Yoga Basics. If you've never done yoga before, welcome to yoga. You're about to embark on something pretty exciting for your body and for your mind. I recommend wearing some comfortable clothes so you can just grab some joggers or something that you're able to move in. You're going to need a yoga mat. You're going to need something to help you with the posture, so some props, meaning some blocks, a strap. If you don't have those today, you can just use a belt for a strap and just use a couple books for a block. And when you're ready, you can just go ahead and get these things at a pro shop, or any yoga store will have them available for you. Again, if it's your first time doing yoga, all I ask is that you move mindfully, move with awareness, and just be very aware of your body and how your body moves. We're all anatomically built different, so just try not to emulate exactly what I'm doing. Do what feels good for your body. The key thing with yoga is to connect the mind and body through breath. So that's what we're primarily going to focus on today. We're going to learn a breathing technique called Ujjayi Pranayama that we use throughout the whole yoga series. As well, we're just going to go through some fundamental standing postures, really focusing on alignment, as well as finding that deep energy locks within the body, so learning about the bandhas, and then from there just moving down onto the floor and working with some very standard seated supinated postures. Enjoy your first yoga session. Namaste. So first we're going to begin learning the Ujjayi Pranayama. So this is what we call the yogic breath, and we use it throughout the whole series. It's a deep inhale through the nose, making an echoey ocean-like sound. So this is the sound of the breath. You inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. Good. Now to make that sound, all you're going to do is bring your hand in front of your face and just take a moment and blow softly onto your hand. Once more, take an inhale through the nose and then gently just exhale onto your hand. Good. You'll notice that the breath is cool and dry. So what we want to try and do is make the breath moist and a little bit warmer. So you're going to inhale through your nose and then exhale. You're going to imagine your hand as a pair of glasses, as if you were going to clean your glasses, making a sound. So take an inhale through the nose and then exhale, think ha. And feel the difference of temperature in your breath. Again, take an inhale through the nose and exhale, ha. Good. Feel the throat spread as you do this. Inhale again through your nose. Exhale, constrict the vocal cords, make the sound ha. Good. Now keeping that same sensation, you're going to bring the air out through the nose. So inhale through the nose, close the mouth, keep that same sensation of cleaning a pair of glasses, think ha, and exhale through the nose. Good. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. Good. You can go ahead and drop the hand and just breathe here for a couple moments. Good. The exhale sounds great. Let's move on to the inhale. So again, the inhale, we don't want so much of a sniffing sound. We want more of a snoring sound. So to get this sound, again, you're going to bring your hand behind your neck. This time, imagine your hand's a mirror and that you want to fog up the mirror behind you. Again, we're going to inhale and exhale through the mouth, inhaling ha and exhaling ha. So take a big inhale, think ha, and exhale ha. Again, inhale ha and exhale ha. Good. Feel where the breath is moving to in the back of the throat. Couple more times here. Good. Now keeping the mouth closed, but that same sensation, inhale and exhale through the nose. Nice. Closing your eyes. Make it an ocean-like sound with the breath. So using this breath allows us to maintain a little heat in the core. As well, it allows us to move into a moving meditation by staying focused on the breath, watching the inhale and watching the exhale move through the body. So we're going to try to use that breath throughout this series today. If you forget about it, don't worry. We'll just keep reminding you to breathe while we move through the postures. So let's get started. Just remove your block if you're sitting on one or on a book, and just come to stand in the middle of a mat. Good. So the first posture that we're going to talk about is Tadasana, mountain posture. So this is the foundation for all of the standing postures. The key thing here is that you want to make sure you find Tadasana, so alignment in every standing position. So what I'm talking about here, if you look down at your second and third toe, if you drew a line up from that place all the way up through the top of your shin, it would align with your knee and your hip bone. So we want to find this alignment in every single posture, standing posture, to prevent injury in the knees and the ankles and in the hips. So let's find mountain posture. Slowly start to spread the toes if you can. If you can't today, you might be able to in a couple more sessions. There's little muscles between our toes. Think about fanning them out, and then just bringing the weight into all four corners of the feet. So thinking about the 2 points in the fronts of the feet and the metatarsals, and the 2 corners in the backs of the heels. And just rock forward and back here. Noticing what's happening to your quads and your hamstrings as you rock forward and back. So we're just trying to find some balance here between the fronts and the backs of the feet. Come forward a little bit forward as if you're going to fall over, and then come all the way back onto the heels as if you're going to fall backwards. So feeling what it feels like to be unbalanced, and then just working your way into a balanced place, coming into the center of all 4 corners of the feet. Again, lifting through the arches of the feet so you're not collapsing into the insides of the feet. Lift through the heels, and you're going to think about drawing your knees into the quads, gently squeezing the gluteus together as you drop the tailbone to the floor. So creating a nice long spine, keeping the belly button pulled into the spine at all times to protect your lower back throughout the series. From there, you're going to slowly just bring your hands together in front of your heart center in a prayer position. So as you're standing here, gently push your palms together and notice what happens to your shoulders. You'll feel a broadening throughout the chest. You'll feel the shoulders opening. Good. And then from here you want to think about the chin being level with the floor, the crown of the head reaching to the ceiling as if you have a string on the top of your head and you're floating up towards the ceiling. So within each posture, we're trying to get as much length as possible in the spine, keeping the integrity in the spine and in the alignment. So just close your eyes here for a moment and just feel what it feels like in this position, mountain posture, Tadasana. It looks easy, but as you know by even being here right now, there's quite a bit of stuff going on in the legs. So the legs are engaged, pushing the floor away with your feet. Keep hugging the belly in, so keeping your deep core muscles engaged. And then just slowly opening your eyes. And we're going to talk about your Mula Bandha for a moment. So the Mula Bandha sits at the end of or at the bottom of your pelvic floor. Basically, all you want to do is lift your perineum muscle. So this will support your lower back. And in yoga, it's called an energy lock, and that it just holds the energy in the core of the body, just creating some heat. So throughout the practice, you want to kind of lift that perineum muscle the whole time. So just take a moment here and practice lifting the perineum muscle and then releasing it back down to the floor. So it's just a very subtle movement. For women, I explain it as doing a Kegel exercise. Slowly breathing here, feeling those subtle little movements in the deep core muscles. Good. And just holding here for a couple more breaths. And then we'll move into our first standing posture, Trikonasana, triangle posture. So you're going to walk your feet about 3 feet apart from one another. And then you're going to turn your right toes out so your toes are facing forward to the right. Again, we want to find Tadasana in that right foot. So look down at your toes, make sure the second and third toe are in line with knee and align with hip. Now your heels, or your feet, you want your right heel, if you have really flexible hips, your right heel can be in line with the arch of your back foot. Now if you have tight hips, you can walk the heel forward so the heels are in line with one another. You know your body, make a choice, finding that alignment every time. Your back foot is going to be parallel to the back of your mat. Again, looking down at the toes, finding Tadasana, finding that alignment in the left leg. And just holding here. Again, just practice pushing the floor away with your feet. Feel the quads engaged. Feel the right quad externally rotate. So you really want to hug this right thigh all the way up into the hip. As the left thigh internally rotates as you push through the outside of the left foot. Again, lift your Mula Bandha, so lift the pelvic floor, drop the tailbone to the floor. Find the longest spine that you can within the posture. Holding here. Your torso is open to the side, your hips are open to the side, and then the arms float out shoulder height, and your gaze, or your dristi, we call it in yoga, is over your right middle finger. So just holding here, keep the quads engaged. Find that Ujjayi breath. Now is a good time to practice the breath you just found in the beginning part of the session. If your arms are above your shoulders, bring your arms back down shoulder height and feel as if you're pushing something away with your hands. Engaging the triceps, gently squeezing the shoulder blades together behind you. A lot of work for the arms. Good, taking 2 more breaths here. And then you're going to slowly start to reach forward with that right hand. So you're going to create some length in the right side of the body. You're going to hug this right thigh all the way up into the hip to get a little bit more movement in that right oblique. And then from there, you're going to turn the palms towards the side wall. And then keeping that length in the right side of the body, you're just going to float your right hand on the inside of your right leg and then float the left hand up to the ceiling. Your dristi, or your gaze, can be up at your left hand, looking forward, or down at the right toe. Again, if this is too much for the arm, just drop the hand on the hip and bring the right hand onto the shin and push into your shin. So this is a variation for this posture. Holding here. So pick a spot to gaze on, keep the eyes soft, keep the breath flowing, and keep the awareness inwards. Feel what's happening with your body. Take 2 more breaths here. Slowly float back up into standing. Use a big inhale, float the arms back up. Drop the hands onto the hip, and we'll just walk the feet to the other side. Just walk the right foot around, square the hips off, line your heels up again, and then just walk the left toes forward. Again, find Tadasana in both the left and right foot. So find that alignment, hug that left thigh up into the hip as the right thigh internally rotates, pushing through the outside of the right foot. Open the torso and the shoulders to the side, float the arms up shoulder height. Shift your gaze over your left middle finger, pushing through the feet. The legs are working. Good, just breathing here. Find that deep Ujjayi breath. Fingertips are together so the hands aren't spread apart. You're keeping the energy in the fingertips, sealing the energy. If your shoulders are way up here, just see if you can relax the shoulders away from the ears. Take that tension away from the neck and the upper back. And then moving forward. So inhale, you're going to reach with that left hand. Reach, reach, reach. Keep hugging that left thigh into the hip. Turn the palms forward. And then just drop the left arm down as you float the right hand up. Coming into Trikonasana, triangle posture. Again, you can always bring that left hand right onto the shin. Bring your right hand onto the hip if that arm starts to get tired. And just think about lifting the heart up to the ceiling. 3 more breaths here. As you inhale, think length. And as you exhale, find a little bit more space. Nice. Now using an inhale, it's very important that you use an inhale to come up. Protect your lower back. Push into your feet, use your core, come back into a parallel, and then just bring your hands onto your hips and walk the toes back to center. Heel toeing the toes together, and then just stepping back into Tadasana. Float the hands up in front of the heart center and just breathe here for a couple of breaths. Good, and then we'll move into a second standing posture. Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. So this time you're going to take a bit of a wider step between the feet, probably at least 4 or 5 feet. Again, you're going to pivot on your right heel so the right toes are pointing forward. Line your heels up again, or line the right heel up with the instep of the back foot. Now if you have tight hips, you might want to walk those left toes forward a little bit, just to allow that hip to angle forward a little bit so you're not trying to open the hip and hurt the lower back. So let that hip come forward. This time you're going to bend into the right knee, keeping that right knee over the right ankle. So the right leg is bent, the left leg is straight. Again, you want to think about hugging this right thigh all the way up into the hip to keep the knee over the ankle. And you want to think about pushing through the outside of the left foot. So both feet are flat on the floor. Again, shoulders open up to the side, opening the torso, and then floating the arms up shoulder height. Your drishti, your gaze is over your right middle finger again. So thinking of energy floating from the left fingertips to the right fingertips. So building strength here, focus, concentration. And just focusing on your breath. So as you inhale, feel your feet connect to the floor. As you exhale, think about just dropping the tailbone to the floor and bending a little bit more into that knee. Take 2 more breaths. Good. And then just slowly drop the hands onto the hips, and we'll walk to the other side. So walk the right toes around, move the left toes so they're facing forward. Find Tadasana, so find your alignment in your feet again. Line the heels up, bending into the left knee, making sure this knee never comes ahead of the ankle. That'll eventually cause injury in the knee. So preventative medicine, keep the knee on top of the ankle. Float the arms up, shoulder height again. Breathing here. Again, gently squeeze your inner thighs together and notice what happens to your pelvis. So you'll feel yourself lift up a little bit. This is better than sinking into the hips. Lift out of the posture a little bit. Keep reaching the right arm back. Keep reaching the left arm forward. Common mistake in warrior is that our torso's way over here. We call this warrior in a hurry. So try to keep your torso right centered in the middle of your body. Keep the navel pulled in and breathe. Keep the gaze soft. Good, 1 more breath. Use an exhale, drop the hands onto the feet, and then just walk that left foot around. If you have some books around you or a block, you're just going to use the block for the next posture. So coming into extended right angle. So you're going to bring that block on the inside of your right foot. Start with straight legs. Find your alignment in the heels again. Find your alignment in that back foot, and then come back into Warrior Two. Good. That right knee is stacked right on the right ankle. The whole left foot's on the floor. Again, float the arms at shoulder height. Virabhadrasana 2. Good, good determination here. I know the legs are probably burning a little bit. Keep the breath flowing. Now from here, you're going to inhale, reach forward with the those right fingertips again. Create length here in the right oblique. Turn the palms forward again, and this time you're going to drop that right hand on the inside of that right foot onto a block, and then float the left hand up to the ceiling. Feeling a nice stretch here in the right inner groin, opening the heart center to the ceiling. Again, look down at your right knee. If that knee starts to come in a little bit, use that arm and that elbow to keep the knee over the ankle. Good. Feel a stretch from your left underarm all the way through the outside of the left foot. Again, if your neck is too sore to keep your gaze up at your thumb, just drop your gaze forward. Good, holding here. And then slowly use an inhale, float back up, straighten the legs. Reach down, grab onto that block, walk the feet over to the other side. Bring the block on the inside of the left foot again. Find your alignment in your feet, and then gently just bend into that left knee as you push through the outside of the right foot. Good. Find Tadasana. Good. Make sure your torso is in the center of your body, and then float the arms back out shoulder height. Good. Again, inhale, reach with that left arm, create some length in the left oblique. Turn the palms forward. Float your left hand down onto the block, and then reach your right fingertips up to the ceiling. Holding here. Check back in with that knee. Make sure it's stacked right over the ankle. And then keep reaching. Imagine someone's lifting your fingertips up to the ceiling. Taking 2 more breaths here. Nice. Use a big inhale, float back up into Warrior Two. Exhale, drop the hands onto the hips. And just walk the feet parallel to one another. So you're going to grab 2 blocks now and place them just below your face onto the floor. And then from here, come back up into a standing position, wide-legged distance between the feet. Again, you want to make sure the outside of your foot is parallel with the outside of your mat. Again, finding that Tadasana within the legs. Good. Take a moment here. Bring your hands right onto your hip bones. Make sure the hips are square, toes are evenly lined up. And then you're just going to slowly start to look forward. Bring your elbows together behind you, coming into a bit of extension. And now very slowly just start to float forward. Again, if your knees or your hamstrings are already screaming, just bend the knees a little bit. Move mindfully. Good. Coming down as far as you can without rounding the spine. So you're trying to keep the spine nice and long. Good. And then you can let go of your hips and bring your hands onto the blocks below you. So we're just using the blocks here to create some length in the spine. So push into the blocks with your hands. Feel the shoulders draw away from the ears. And then see if you can find the big toe mound of your feet and push into the inside of your big toe. Notice what happens to your inner thighs there. Good, just breathing here. Stretching the backs of the legs, lengthening the spine. Keep hugging the front body into the back of the body, keeping the core nice and engaged. Good. And then just slowly bend into the knees a little bit, bring your hands back onto the hips. Slowly come up, use your core, be careful, and then just slowly heel toe your toes together and coming to stand in Tadasana in the center of your mat again. Good, and from here, so we've done a couple different standing postures. Usually what comes next is some balancing postures. So go ahead, grab onto a belt or a strap if you have one, and bring yourself into the middle of your mat in Tadasana. Good, so working on balancing here can be frustrating at first, but it's good for us. It allows us to have patience, and also balancing is good just to calm the mind and breathe. So before we move into a one-legged balance, just bring the weight into both feet and really feel strong and balanced in Tadasana. Breathing here, rooting through the heels, rooting through the fronts of the feet. Nice. And then we'll move into Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, varied version with the strap. So you're just going to bend gently into both knees. You're going to begin to round forward and bring the strap just below the chunky part of your right foot. You want to make sure your right ankle is right below your right knee. Now if this feels okay, you can start to straighten the left leg and lift the knee up towards the ceiling. And this might be where we are today, just holding here. Now, if this feels okay, you can slowly start to kick that foot away, bringing your elbows towards you, pulling on the strap, gently stretching the hamstrings. Holding here. If you fall in and out of it, doesn't matter, just try it again. We're just practicing in yoga. Good, take one more breath wherever you are, and then slowly exhale, change. Release the right foot onto the floor. Try not to react or judge yourself. Yoga is meant to be non-competitive, non-judgmental. Without even thinking about it, let's just go to the other side. So bring your weight into your right foot. Again, just round forward. Bring your strap or your belt just below the left metatarsal, the chunky part of the foot. Make sure your heel's under your knee, and then just slowly start to lengthen the spine, push through the right foot. Holding here, just balancing on one foot. Really think about dropping the tailbone to the floor as you reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. And then if you feel good and you know your hamstrings are quite flexible, you can go ahead and kick that left foot forward. Good. Keeping the toes moving towards your nose, spine nice and long. Good. And just try to keep your gaze on one spot. Take one more breath. And then exhale, just release out of that. Good. Just release the belt onto the floor, and then just come back into Tadasana at the middle of the mat. We'll try one more balancing posture, Natadharasana, dancer's pose. So again, just find balance in both feet. Close your eyes for a moment and just breathe here. So we're cleansing the nervous system with this deep Ujjayi breath. So allow the breath to be as big as it can be. Good, and then slowly opening the eyes. You're going to shift your right palm towards the right side of your room, wherever you are, to allow this right shoulder to come into external rotation. Bring your left hand up onto your hip, and then you're going to reach around and grab the medial arch, so the inside arch of your right foot. And then you're just going to slowly think about bringing your knees back together. Now this might be enough for you, especially if you have any knee injury or tight quads. This might be where you hold for today. So just breathe here, reaching the knee towards the floor. Now if that feels okay, you can go ahead and float that left hand up by your ear, reaching for the ceiling with your left fingertips. And if that feels good, keeping the left arm up by the left ear, you're going to slowly start to kick that right foot into the right hand, allowing the right shoulder blade to move back, coming into a little back bend here, trying to keep the hips square to the floor. So just kicking and reaching here. Again, if you fall out of it, just slowly come back into it. 3 more breaths, good intention. Good, nice. And then slowly using an inhale, come back to center. Exhale, slowly release the right foot down. Again, trying to be non-reactive. Try not to judge yourself. And then slowly coming over to the other side. So coming through Tadasana first. Float your left hand to the left side of the room. And then just reach around and grab the inside of your left foot. Again, gently bringing the knees together. And breathing here. So right away, let that left shoulder blade start to open and drop the tailbone to the floor. You'll find one side is always different than the other, depending on what side of the brain we've been using more that day. And if this feels good, you can go ahead and float the right arm up by the ear, and then just slowly begin kicking that left foot into the hand, allowing that kick to bring the torso forward. So just kicking and reaching, trying to keep the hips square to the floor. Take 2 more breaths. Nice. And then slowly inhale, come back up. Gentle release. Walk the feet out and take a big breath. Good, so we're done our standing series for today. So just go ahead, come onto the mat, coming to sit on your sit bones in the middle of the mat. So from here, we're just going to move into some core work. So moving into a posture called Navasana boat posture. So you're going to bring your big toes together, your knees are together, and you're just going to reach around and grab onto your hamstrings. And then slowly as you lift your core, you're going to come back on your sit bones as you lift the shins towards the ceiling. And just holding here. Really grab onto your hamstrings to activate the core instead of using your hip flexors. Keep your toes moving towards your nose. Keep hugging the belly into the spine. Keep lifting the heart forward. Your gaze or your drishti is past your big toes. Nice. And then just slowly release. Allow the soles of the feet to come on the floor and just round forward. And we'll try another one, bringing the toes and knees together again. Starting over, reach behind the thighs. Gently pull on your thighs as you feel the spine lengthen. And then again, just lifting the heels up off the floor. Shins are parallel to the ceiling. If you want to take it a step further this time, palms reach out, reaching the ceiling, holding here. Keep hugging the belly button in. 2 more breaths. You can do it. Good determination. Give yourself a little smile. Nice. And then just slowly releasing, round back forward again and breathe. So we always want to work the core before we go into any kind of extension or back bending, just so when we are in the back bending, we remind ourselves to keep the core engaged, just to prevent injury in the lower back. So we're going to move into some back bending, coming down onto the back. You're going to bring your heels just underneath your knees, about hip distance apart. Again, from there, you're just going to push your palms into the floor. Your gaze is up at the ceiling, and you're just going to start to lift your hips up off the floor a couple inches. If this feels okay on your neck, you're going to interlace the fingers below the hips, keeping your pinkies touching the floor. Walk the shoulder blades together one by one beneath you, coming right up onto the shoulders. Now from there, begin to push into the insides of your feet, lifting the hips up to the ceiling. Feeling a nice stretch in the whole front of the body. Keep your knees moving forward. Keep your ribs reaching behind you. Take 3 more breaths. And then slowly release down. Walk the shoulder blades apart from one another and just hug the knees into the chest. Release the lower back. Good. We'll try one more set of those. If you have a block or a book, about 4 or 5 inches apart. This time you're going to bring the block between your knees. So this will remind you to keep pushing into the insides of your feet. Again, our feet are stacked underneath the knees, hip distance apart. Take an exhale here with a neutral spine. And then again, inhale, start to lift the hips about 3 inches off the floor. Interlace the fingers below the hips, pinkies pushing against the floor. One by one, walk the shoulder blades together. Be mindful here. Coming all the way onto the shoulders, into extension, lift the hips up to the ceiling. Now squeeze that blocks with the knee. Breathing here right into your heart, opening the heart chakra. We store a lot of stress and emotion in our heart and in the front of the body. We're usually sitting forward all day long. So allow yourself to stay here as long as you can, taking big breaths. Good. And then just slowly coming out of it again, palms come onto the floor, walk the shoulder blades apart. Grab the block and just float the block to the right of you. Again, and then just coming up onto your elbows, we're going to come into reverse table posture. So this is a very intense opener for the fronts of your shoulders and your deltoids. So just, I ask you to move very mindfully here and just be careful of your shoulders. So you're going to come up to sit up in an upright position. You're going to walk your hands behind your hips about 8 to 10 inches, fingers facing forward. Again, your feet are just going to be hip distance apart from one another, a little bit in front of your knees this time, so not stacked right underneath your knees, but a little bit forward. From here, you're just going to push to the insides of your feet, lift the hips up to the ceiling, making a table with your body. Now, if your neck feels okay, your cervical spine is okay, go ahead and drop the head behind you. Holding here. Take 2 more big breaths. Inhale, lift up, and then slowly exhale, start to drop the hips. Be mindful of your neck here. Just start to drop the chin in and just drop the head through the legs. Release forward. Big breaths into the shoulders. Good. And then from here, we'll come into Dandasana. So Dandasana is the same as seated Tadasana, so it's the foundation and alignment for all seated postures. So again, your sit bones are now become your feet. Again, you want to think about the alignment. So the second and third toe, knee and hip are always in alignment when you're on the floor. So just take a moment here in Dandasana. It looks really easy, but if you're engaging the core muscles and pulling the knees into the thighs, the posture becomes quite challenging. Flexing the toes towards your nose. Again, feel your sit bones reach towards the floor, pull the navel in, reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. 3 more breaths here. Find that deep Ujjayi breath again. One more big inhale and exhale. Good. So from here, coming into Paschimottanasana. So again, you're going to grab onto a strap or a belt, whatever you have handy. You're just going to start with your knees bent, and you're going to bring the strap just below the metatarsals of your feet again. And now from here, create that length in your spine again. So draw your breastbone forward. Feel yourself lifting out of your lower back, and just hold here. And then every exhale, you're just going to allow your heels to extend forward inch by inch. Again, your hamstrings might be very tight. You might be holding here. Or you might eventually be able to allow the whole backs of the feet to come onto the floor. Wherever you are, just start to hinge forward at the hips, keeping the spine nice and long. Gaze is at your big toes. You can walk the hips back if you want to get a little bit more forward flexion. If you're quite flexible in the hamstrings, you can walk the hands down closer to the feet just to get a little bit more leverage here. Feeling a whole stretch in the back of the body. Elbows moving back. Good. Take 2 more breaths. And then inhale, slowly start to walk yourself back up. Coming into a spine twist. So bringing your right foot on the outside of the left knee. Again, your left leg stays in Tadasana. The right foot is planted onto the floor. Take a moment, interlace the fingers below the right knee and just hug your spine into the knee. Find a nice long spine. Breathing here. Keep reaching the breastbone forward, crown of the head reaches the ceiling. And then you're just going to slowly hook that right knee into the left elbow. Bring the right hand to support the spine, and then slowly just starting to twist, letting your drishti, your gaze, move behind you. These twisting postures are great for the spine. When we're in the twist, we're compressing the vertebrae, squeezing out all the leftover fluid that sits between our intervertebrae disc. And when we release the posture, again, a whole bunch of fresh blood and nutrients races between the intervertebrate discs, giving us more height, more mobility, lubrication for the spine. So keeping our spines nice and healthy. Good. And then slowly inhale, come back to center. You can counter stretch if you need to. And then let's just go to the other side. So again, finding your Dandasana, your alignment. Bring the left foot on the outside of your right knee. Sole of that left foot is pushing into the floor. Interlace the fingers. Reach that knee towards the chest. Find a nice long spine here. Really feel your sit bones pushing into the floor as the crown of the head reaches to the ceiling. Good. Take again that right arm around the left leg. Left hand comes behind your spine for support. Lift out of your lower back and slowly start to open up to the left. Besides the physical benefits of the twists, on a spiritual level, they allow us to move into change easier. So if you're ever going through lots of changes in your life, it's good to complement your daily schedule with some spine twists. Take 2 more breaths. Try not to rotate at all in the lower back. We have only 5% rotation in our lumbar spine. So keep the movement in the upper back only, thoracic spine. Good. And then slowly inhale, come back to center. Release the left leg and just come to lie on your back. So just one more forward bending posture to calm the nervous system down after the twist. So coming into Pavamuktasana, wind expelling posture. So again, you're just going to float your right leg up towards the ceiling, interlace the fingers below the right knee, pull the knee outside of the ribs, and then just gently start to squeeze that right knee towards the shoulder. Big breaths here. So stimulating the digestive system. Allow the breath to be really big here. As you inhale, feel your belly pushing against your thigh. And as you exhale, watch the belly draw in. Take 2 more breaths. And then just slowly change. Let the right sole of the foot come onto the floor. Opposite grip, interlace the fingers the other way. Reach below the left knee and then just start to hug that knee towards the left shoulder again. Big breaths. Watch the belly rise on the inhale and fall on the exhale. Take 2 more breaths. Pulling that knee in a little bit deeper each exhale. Starting to close the practice down. Preparing for Shavasana. So just allow that left foot to come onto the floor. Bring yourself into the middle of the mat, releasing into Shavasana. Final relaxation. So Shavasana in English means corpse posture. So all you're doing here is just allowing the weight of the body to be completely absorbed by the weight of the floor. Try not to get up and leave. Shavasana is the best posture. It's the most important posture of the series. So you're just going to allow your toes to fall apart from one another. Feet are about hip distance apart. Palms are about 6 inches from your hips facing the ceiling. Feel your shoulder blades into the floor. Feel your tailbone reaching towards your heels. Let the lips slightly part from one another. And let the top of the eyelids be really soft. And we let go of the Ujjayi breath now and just find more of a natural, soft breath in Shavasana. All you're doing here is just allowing the body to absorb the benefits of the practice by moving and breathing like that for 45 minutes. A lot of physical changes happen in the body, emotional changes, but we have to allow ourselves to accept these changes and allow our bodies to change. Eventually, by opening the bodies, we begin to open the mind. Remember that yoga happens once the fluctuations of the mind stop. So all we're trying to do in yoga is still the mind. So just allow yourself a couple minutes here, just focusing on your breath only. Just watching your belly rise on the inhale and fall on the exhale. And I'll bring you back in a couple moments. So just slowly starting to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Begin to lengthen the breath. Even just swallowing a few times, stimulating vocal cord. And gently just hug the knees into the chest one last time. Again, if you have a busy day, rolling to the left. If you're going to bed or you have more of a relaxing day ahead of you, rolling to the right and coming to lie in a fetal position for a couple of breaths. Try to keep your eyes closed, keeping the awareness inwards. Lying here just for a couple of moments. The fetal position representing the birth after Shavasana, after corpse posture. So taking this new energy that you've found, just even from breathing like that for 45 minutes, and facing your day with a new energy, a new enlightenment. And then just slowly floating up into seated. Try to keep your eyes closed if you can as you move, starting or finishing the same way we started. So finding that nice long spine that we worked on, bringing your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra, prayer posture. And we always just take some time at the end of the practice to bow our heads to our heart, just honoring yourself first and the divine energy that lives in you. We take a moment to acknowledge divine energy and light that lives in everything. And we try just to take some time here for gratitude. So just take a moment to be grateful, to even move and to practice, and for all the other things in your life that bring you happiness. Just trying to live a little bit more peacefully and graciously. Inhale, just slowly start to lift your gaze. Exhale, gently opening your eyes wherever you are. Take a big inhale into your lungs. Big exhale, surrender. Let go. And at the end of yoga, we say namaste. It means the divine in me bows to the divine in you. Namaste.